Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 1990's Represent. We're starting our sixth cycle here, so we just finished our fifth cycle. We're now starting over all the way back at the beginning with 1990. So, sixth cycle of 1990 starting now. We're starting with an album, and this episode we're talking about No Prayer for the Dying by Iron Maiden. I'll preface this by saying this is probably one of their worst albums. So I think I'd only heard maybe one or two songs off this album before listening to it for this series. I think I had heard Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter and Holy Smoke before, but I never listened to the album from beginning to end. And I have a really bad track record with Iron Maiden on this series as well as the 1998 series. So 1998 series, I think this is the first video we've done for Iron Maiden in the 1990 series. But in the 1998 series, I'll leave a link in the description to check it out. I covered, I believe it was Virtual 11. And that one is actually ranked, when I check out this kind of like album rankings, Virtual 11 is usually ranked as their worst. But then that's followed right up with No Prayer for the Dying. So not a good Iron Maiden album. There's a couple songs and a couple moments on the album that I enjoy, but overall, didn't really like it all that much. But like on the series, we cover stuff that's great, we cover stuff that's not so great. So this is one of those episodes where it's going to be covering something not so great, unfortunately. But, you know, it's all part of the decade, and kind of we treat it all the same. We cover it like this. So I have some notes here about the album. We're going to get to those, and then we'll move into the track list and all that stuff as well. Let me just grab my notes here. All right, so we have No Prayer for the Dying by Iron Maiden. First released October 1st, 1990. This is their 8th studio album. I believe, let me just pop it up here. I think Seventh Son of the Seventh Son was the prior album. Yeah, so Seventh Son of the Seventh Son was the previous album from a couple years earlier. And this is No Prayer for the Dying. Let's see here. This was actually the first album to feature Janet Gers. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that name correctly, on guitar. And he replaced Adrian Smith at the time. Interesting thing is both those members of Iron Maiden are now are with the band. I think Janet Gers has been with them since this album, and then Adrian Smith eventually came back a little bit later on. So both of those guitarists are, still with the band to this day, which is kind of cool. The album peaked at number 2 in the UK charts, despite kind of bad reviews. It charted fairly well. And the one thing I was really interested and shocked about when I was reading this for my research of this video is the song "Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter" peaked at number 1 in the UK singles chart, and it is the only Iron Maiden song that's made it to number 1 according to my research, which I kind of find shocking because you have other classics like Number of the Beast or Run to the Hills, like 2 Minutes to Midnight, bunch of stuff off Power Slave. And this one song on a not particularly good Iron Maiden album is their only single to reach number 1 in the UK singles chart. So I was kind of shocked with that. I found that to be kind of interesting. Let's see here. This album features a kind of more stripped down approach. It's more kind of in line with some of their much earlier work, but it didn't really land as well as some of those other earlier albums, or even other great albums like I said, kind of like Power Slave. I think Power Slave is probably my favorite one. Power Slave and Number of the Beast are kind of like right up there for me, and then Seventh Son of the Seventh Son is also just incredible. Let's see here. This was also the first album since Number of the Beast to be recorded in the UK. According to the research I was doing, the previous album I think was recorded in Germany. So like this album here, they had released a string of albums that were all recorded in other countries aside from the UK, or aside from England, where they're from. One interesting thing about the album was they used the Rolling Stones mobile studio, which is basically a studio in the back of a truck Actually, I'm going to bring up, because I actually brought up information about that truck here. Let me actually just read this other thing I mentioned here. So it's a studio, a recording studio inside of a DAF F1600 turbo truck, and other bands that have used this truck to record. I think it's now in like a museum, because yeah, it's in the National Music Center and it's now in Calgary. But other bands that have used this album, of course, the Rolling Stones, because they were the ones that owned it. They've recorded there, but so have Deep Purple, Lou Reed, the Who, Iron Maiden. We're talking about on this video. Fleetwood Mac, Bad Company, Led Zeppelin, and Motorhead, just to name a few of those bands that have recorded in this truck studio here. And they recorded it. I think it was at Steve Harris's. Has a barn, or had a barn in Essex, and that's where they recorded it. So they recorded it in this mobile studio in this barn. And I think there's a quote here from Bruce Dickinson, which I think is kind of funny, talking about how he didn't really like the way they recorded it. They didn't think didn't think it sounded good. But Bruce Dickinson is quoted as saying, "quote It was quote It was shit. It was a shit-sounding record, and I wish we hadn't done it that way. At the time, I was as guilty as anyone else going in." And then a quote from the quote is, "Oh great, look, we're all covered in straw. What a larf." So like, kind of, they didn't think the album sounded good. Maybe like the mobile recording studio isn't like the ideal place to record something like that. I know we covered, I think it was on a different series, the Jackson Browne's Running on Empty album, which is recorded all over the place, and like on the road, literally you can actually hear the like tour bus like shifting gears on some songs, recorded in like hotel rooms. And a lot of times you get a better sound out of it, like a proper studio, and maybe not like a mobile studio. So also they were recording it in a barn, and Bruce Dickinson did not really enjoy the recording process and did not think it sounded good. So we got that. And another interesting thing, Iron Maiden is very well known for very long songs. This is the only Iron Maiden album that does not have a song on it that goes longer than 6 minutes. So I think we'll get to the track listing in a moment. But that's kind of interesting, because there's like, Iron Maiden has some songs that go on for seemingly forever. Some of the songs are long, but they don't feel long. This is the only album they've done that doesn't have a track on it going longer than 6 minutes. One song on this is called "Holy Smoke," and it has a kind of silly lyric that I actually think is kind of great at the same time. Let me actually bring up the lyrics here. So "Holy Smoke" is the second track on the album. It kind of discusses like religion and things like that. And let me just highlight it here. And the quote is, it always kind of cracks me up when I hear it. But the quote from the lyric is, I lived in filth, I've lived in sin, and I still smell cleaner than the shit you're in. Like, for some reason, I just love that lyric. I think it's kind of hilarious, but also kind of awesome. The reviews. Let's bring up the reviews for this album. Like I said, did not review particularly well. Let's see. All Music, Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal has it at a 7 out of 10. Entertainment Weekly has it at a C+, and then Spike has it at a 2 out of 5. So kind of middling to Electronic Music. Both have them at a 2 out of 5. Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal kind of is a little more different. I would say a C+ is not a great. Let's go into our track list now. Some singles off this album. There's only 2. One was "Holy Smoke," which is the lyric I just quoted, and then "Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter" is the other single off this album. Album is 43 minutes and 40 seconds, and let's see here, it has 10 tracks. There are some additional tracks on the 1995 reissue that had a bonus disc. I didn't listen to that one, but we'll list those off as well. So again, 10 tracks for 43 minutes and 42 seconds is Tail Gunner. Track 2 is "Holy Smoke." like I said, I just love that. I've lived in filth. I lived in filth. I've lived in sin, and I still smell cleaner than the shit you're in. Just a great, great lyric there. So that's track 2 is Holy Smoke. Track 3, our title track. Track 4 is Public Enema number 1. Track 5 is Fate's Warning. 6 is The Assassin. Track 7 with Run Silent, Run Deep. I actually think that's actually not a bad song. Track 8 is Fix the You. Track 9, another single, the only other single off this album, Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter. And then track 10 is Mother Russia. So that's the main album, and then the bonus disc. Looks like it's just a few covers. So track 1 is All in Your Mind, which is a Stray cover. Then we have Kill Me C'est Sore, which is a cover of Golden Earring. Track 3 is I'm a Mover, which is a cover by Free. And then track 4 on this bonus disc is Communication Breakdown, which is, of course, a Led Zeppelin cover. So, like I said earlier, not a great Iron Maiden record. I can't think of Iron Maiden records, but it feels like a lot of this stuff, like in the stuff in the 90s, this one particularly, and then also with another album that was even worse, which was Virtual 11. I'll leave a link in the description to check out the Virtual 11 video I did, because I covered that, I believe, for the 1990's a couple years back. But yeah, just overall, not a great album. Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter and Holy Smoke are good songs, and I think Run Silent, Run Deep is actually decent as well. But there you have it. Starting over with our 6 cycle, like we'll go through this cycle all the way up to 1999 like we always do, and then start back over again. So we'll be back in a few days covering a movie, and then back after that covering a video game of some kind before jumping back into 1991 and the rest of the decade. But that's going to do it for now. So thank you for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.